Hey guys, this is G, and this is Dust, an Elysian Tail for the PC and Xbox 360. It's only just come out on the PC, but you may remember it as a very popular Xbox Live Arcade game last year. So let's just jump in here about a quarter of the way into the game. I'm a bit further on from this, but this is a good spot to just show you what's what about this game. So let me just kill this enemy and explain to you what it is. It's a Metroidvania game, if you can't tell by the little map in the top right. So standard rules apply. Explore a big environment, get abilities, come back later and get items that are hidden away in little crevices. For example, this thing. I can't climb this yet, but much later on in the game, I will be able to. So of course, I will come back here and climb that and get whatever goodie is located up there. Typically, loot in this game is not that great, but that's something we'll get onto later. So, this game... how to think of it? I guess it's kind of Devil May Cry-like. It's a lot of juggling and kind of stun-locking your enemies into submission rather than sort of grinding against them like you will see in other Metroidvania-style games. And it's very much the RPG style of Metroidvania, so lots of numbers flying about everywhere to almost ludicrous degree, side quests, spells, different unlockable combos, you know, just all that general nonsense that is very satisfying to see. It's not incredibly deep combat-wise, there's only a couple of different combos. In fact, I will probably, here is not a good place to demonstrate that, I'll just move a bit further on. One thing you may notice about this game, it is beautiful. Considering it's made by one dude, that just makes it even more impressive, but even if it had a whole team on it, just look at this. Look how good it looks. These sprites are so sharp, it's ridiculous. But let's get to killing some monsters, shall we? Alright. So, let me just heal up a bit. You've got your standard normal attack combo, which you just get from mashing a single button, but from that you've got a small collection of throws and launches, just to keep enemies busy. It can get extremely hectic very quickly, as you can see, so you have to really pay attention to what your enemy's doing if you don't want to get hit. Of course it does have parrying, because, you know, it's a video game, so of course it has parries. Which, of course, you get from timing your attack perfectly with your opponent's attack. You tend not to fight very powerful enemies for the most part. You tend to get swarmed by lots of smaller ones instead, so that just adds to the hecticness. And god damn, those slimes are annoying. This one's actually got me on the ropes. Just about survived. Lots of loot falls out enemies, of course, so that feeds into the crafting system as well as just having lots of nice money. Oh god, I'm really on the ropes here. Thankfully you can quickly use any healing item you happen to have handy, so... Mysterious Wall Chicken is my currently equipped one, which, if you're a fan of Castlevania, you'll go, ha! That's a funny joke. Or you'll just go, referential humour. There is a lot of referential humour in this game, especially from my little helper character you'll see on flying around near me. She can get a bit annoying. Sometimes what she says is funny, but a lot of the time it's just, oh, yes, we get it, you've played a video game, that's enough. But still, it's got a charm to it either way. Other things she can do. If you press B, she will fire this really pitiful little spell. But if you hold Y, you do your Dust Storm attack, and you can combine that with her spells to create much more interesting effects, which is how you get like the crazy combos going, which can get into the thousands of hits if you're lucky. I am slightly over-leveled for this area, I will admit, so I am kind of tearing through these guys a little. But still, you should get a general impression of what combat is like here, except it'll just take longer to kill these guys. One thing I did really like about this game is the level progression is quite fast, and leveling up does actually give you very significant stat boosts, which is how I'm killing these enemies so easily, because I leveled up a couple of times and now I can kill them easy, you know. I think that's a fair trade, really. That's kind of how it should be, rather than just you grinding forever just to get ever so slightly more bits of damage. But at the same time, I think some people might consider it slightly easy for that same reason, but there's some challenge areas which are quite tough at any level from what I gather, so, you know. I don't think I'm really far enough into it yet to truly determine how well that stuff scales. What else can I do? Of course, you've got a little downward slash like this. I can go XY, launch in the air, combo from there. Also got my air dust attack, which again I can combine with Fidget, who's the little helper character's little wussy spells. You do get more of those as the game progresses. I think I found... I've only got one at this point, but just where I'm at the moment I've unlocked another one which creates kind of a big fiery explosion, which has less hits in it but does more damage from what I gather. But of course it doesn't also home in like this one does, which makes it very useful if you're over leveled, because you just send that swarm out and it just tears through everything. This game unfortunately does use save points, but save points are very, very well placed. I don't think I've ever lost any progress where I've thought, well damn, if this game just had, you know, your standard save everywhere thing, I would not have lost this progress, so I think that's smart. I'm sorry, that was a really convoluted way of saying that, but hopefully you get what I mean. Still, I would have preferred it if it just did let you save anywhere, that would be fun, but it hasn't really caused any problems yet. It's... the save points are always in places you'd hope they'd be. Like, oh god, look how gorgeous does this look. Just look at that water. Oh wait. I've been silenced for the first time, so it's just explaining these concepts. I have a talking sword. I should probably say what the plot for this thing is. Let's just get through this. So, you are this dude. You are Dust. You have no idea who you are because you have amnesia. Because, of course, you have amnesia. That's, you know, video game. Lol. And he needs to know who he is. He's found this big talking sword and its guardian Fidget, but they don't seem to know either. All they know is they have to help him. And so you go off exploring the world trying to find out who you truly are. At this point in the game, the plot has been very, very light-hearted, but right after this area, it starts getting very, very dark, so touching on topics of genocide and ethnic cleansing and all kinds of crazy stuff. It really surprised me, so, you know, don't just dismiss it because of its cartoony art style. It's not that. It is not a kiddie game. It gets very, very dark indeed. Oh, just got a treasure chest key. So all the collectibles in this game are in treasure chests. And hopefully we'll find one at some point. Anything else I can comment on while I progress towards the boss area? Yeah, it's basically all the plot that has been so far. It tends to be pretty slow about that stuff. Characterization's been pretty good. Oh, this gate here is just... I did a side quest which allows me to unlock some of these little crystal doors. I assume there'll be plenty more of those as the game goes on. Performance-wise, it has been great. You may have noticed that... Well, actually, you probably won't, because after I've compressed it for YouTube, it won't be so noticeable. But it is running very, very smoothly. Solid 50 frames a second, even with FRAPS running. And I don't even get that with, like, the big AAA console games. So the fact that this indie game made by one dude can do that that's crazy impressive. Let's just juggle some of these guys, get some kills in. Oh, I've leveled up, so I should probably explain how this works. It does have your Korean MMO-style progression system whereby you allocate points to different stats. Normally I hate these because it feeds into that exact kind of mechanic that I said annoyed me, in that you level up and then you gain like one stat point that makes almost no difference, and you have to level up hundreds of times in order to make any change. This game is not like that. You see, if I put some points into attack, it goes from 28 to 58. That's a huge, huge boost. And it's the same with my defense, my fidget points and my max health and all that. It's really, really significant. It means when you level up, you actually feel like you're getting stronger, which so rarely happens in these games. I have been putting a fairly even spread in my characters so far. I found that quite effective, but you could easily min-max if you wanted to. There does seem to be some rule governing what the maximum amount of gems you can put into each stat is, but I think it's just like an average of the four, so you don't get too crazy powerful in one area or create some crazy glass cannon. I think there's a little puzzle down here. Let's see if I can do this, give you an idea of what the puzzles are like in this. Many of them revolve around these little exploding fruits, and using the dust storm I can grab them and move them over to different areas. You see, this wall over here can only be broken by them, so I drag this, boom! Now I get in here. And I got some more mysterious wall chicken. And now I have this.
Hello?
So this is part of a side quest I'd already accepted, whereby the blacksmith who crafts items for me wanted a way to be able to communicate with me from anywhere. This is a good example of the kind of humour this game has. Fidget kind of annoys me. I really don't like high-pitched, you know, mascot characters. It's kind of irritating. Characterization, she's fine, if a little kind of lol random sometimes, like, oh, I'm gonna nibble their faces off. Whoa, I'm wacky. It's just kind of annoying, that kind of archetype, but it's a minor part of the game, really. For the most part, characters have been pretty good so far. They feel like they have some level of depth to them, they have reason for doing what they're doing, and the voice acting's so strong that there's actually emotion behind what they are, which is kind of ironic when they're, you know, talking animals, essentially. Maybe some AAA devs could be paying attention and, you know, actually make human characters this human. So now I have that communicator, I can actually craft from wherever I am, and crafting is very, very cool in this game. So if I go into my equipment inventory and find a blueprint, which I must have one somewhere, here we go. See, I can make this light chainmail vest now. And what it'll do, it'll sum up the ingredients I need, and it will allow me to, if I had already, I need to come up with a better way to explain this. If you have an ingredient and you've sold it to a vendor, you can then buy back that ingredient as time goes by. So every now and then they'll restock on it. That means you only generally need to get the right drop once, and then you just need to wait a while if you're willing to, you know, pay the time and money costs to actually buy it again. I don't think I explained that very well, so hopefully I will find a vendor soon and I can give you a better example. Let's see, what about this one? Yeah, I haven't sold that, so I can't actually buy that ingredient. Anyway, from here, you can see I don't have two of those items which I need, but I could buy them directly from here, which is very, very useful, rather than having to remember what the item is, go into a shop and go, okay, I need 2 of those, 3 of those, or what was it again, or was it 5? I don't know. From here, it just says, okay, buy the ingredients you don't have yet. Very, very useful. And also just being able to craft from wherever you are is just a godsend, rather than having to go back to that same NPC every single time. Let's just use a few health items here. There we go. So, that's most of what this game is. I'm going to gradually work my way up to the first boss, and then I will probably call it there. That should give you a pretty good taste for what this game is. Meanwhile, I'm just going to dodge around this guy. So these bigger enemies, they're very slow, so they're much easier to parry, but if they hit you, they take off humongous chunks of health. There we go. So now I can tear through them easily. Yeah, so it's a nice little risk-reward thing there. I could have just kind of wailed on him, but it would have taken forever to get all his health, but if I do the parry, then you get the crazy good hits. Enemies tend to hit very, very hard in this game, by the way, so although you won't see me get hit very often, when you do, it tends to take off a relatively big chunk of life. And they always respawn, which is very annoying when you accidentally go to the wrong area. So I'm just going to spam Fidget's attack here. Slide down. Yeah, it's like I said, it's not technically very complex fighting system, but because of just the sheer kind of franticness of it, it makes it very satisfying. You know, seeing those humongous hit counters and numbers flying around everywhere, it makes you feel strong, you know? In a way that RPGs tend not to. So I can use one of my keys to open this chest and do this pointless minigame, because, yes, there is always a lockpicking minigame. My big problem with chests so far has been almost none of them have any useful items in them. There is a finite number of keys in the game to open them, so you would hope that you'd actually get something decent out of it, but more often than not, here is this very minor healing item which you could have bought anyway. I wish it could have been kind of more of a reward for actually finding those chests, because some of them are very deviously hidden, as are the keys you need for them. So yeah, this is typical combat encounter, just enemies absolutely everywhere, and it's very hard to tell what's going on. These slime ones are kind of the only ones you need to really worry about, though. So they do crazy damage. Oh, these guys silence. Of course, because I'm being recorded, I'm not doing very well. You know, sod's law. No. And these are all portable shops. Run by a mysterious stranger. So you can just buy lots of health items and the like. But most of your really cool stuff's either going to come from drops or from crafting stuff. So the shop, not a huge element. Oh, actually I can show how that cataloguing system works. So here's what I was trying to explain earlier. If I go into sell mode, go over to materials, you'll see there's a little tick by a lot of these materials. And that means I've sold it to the vendor before. And what that means is every now and then he will restock on those items, meaning I don't have to grind for them again. I can just buy more of them if I'm willing to spend the money. See, I haven't sold this imp claw before, so I get rid of it. I now can't craft with that item, but later on he will restock on it because it's been catalogued. And I do the same with this wing. Again, a very, very nice little system that kind of avoids some of the more annoying elements of other Metroidvania and just RPGs in general, really. It's very easy to get fed up with that. Save points, for some reason, don't restore your health. They restore up to 50%, I think, on normal, which I don't know why they just wouldn't restore all of it. It seems strange. Because all that happens is that I spend most of the game at 50% health, because that's what I always get revived to. Unless you're, you know, willing to waste some health items. This game isn't that hard, so you don't really need to be at full health. That just seems a strange decision. Oh, this area is great. There's just so many enemies. Oof. Just watch that hit counter get high. So many numbers. Now, one thing I will explain or demonstrate in a second is when I first played this game, I did not even realise there were damage numbers. That is because I played this game on a TV, which means like gigantic resolution, and everything was tiny. And you know, if you're into PC gaming, particularly games that are ported from console, you're kind of used to little annoyances like that. But this game has a really, really nice system, which once I've killed all these dudes, I will demonstrate, that solved everything. And now I want it in every single port of a console game, or just any PC game in general. So let's go into settings, help and options, adjust HUD. I really wish they pointed this out in the game. This is a fantastic system. What I can do is I can go in here and I can just rescale the UI elements. And now while that little example in the middle doesn't actually show the damage number coming off the monster getting any bigger, it does actually scale according to how big you want the other UI stuff. So if I make this gigantic, hang on, whoop. Also like that you can move around the HUD stuff too. I'm not sure who would actually use that, but it's fun that you can do it. Save that. Whoa, huge. Let's see, where is... There's also a nice range of resolutions, so if you are playing on a huge TV, it's very easy to set up without, you know, it getting ridiculous. I think it's actually going to make me solve this puzzle before I can make any numbers appear. So here's another one of those doors that can only be destroyed by the explosive fruit, so what I have to do is actually go back into this area. Oh, I already grabbed one with me. Anyway, you can carry them between areas, so sometimes you will need to look to where you've been before in order to solve those puzzles. Let's get up here. Ooh. Platforming a little bit finicky in this game because just all the platforms are so... there's so much to them. It can be very difficult to tell like where it stops and starts. So you'll think you're going to make a jump, but then you'll be slightly short, even though you kind of came into contact with the platform. It's really difficult to tell sometimes, but again, it's a very, very minor gripe. On the whole, this game has been pretty stellar. And it controls really well, the story's nice, the characters are good, it looks beautiful, the combat is satisfying. It's really hard to fault it in any considerable amount. As I did mention before, it does seem a little bit easy, but still too early on to really tell that for sure. And it does appear to be slightly short, but, you know, if your game's good, I don't really care if it's short. I'd rather have a short, really good game than, like, a mediocre one that's incredibly long. A la Dead Space 3. But see, like, the damage numbers are huge now. I've scaled up the UI like that, which I'm sure there's some people who will like it that way. I'm actually going to put it to something more reasonable, though, before my eyes begin to hurt. Just HUD. There we go, that'll do. I may play around with that a bit more later. I want to try some of the higher resolutions. So yeah, we should be coming up to the first proper boss. And we'll maybe play a bit of that and cut out before the storyline really gets going, because I don't want to ruin those bits for you, because that's when the storyline really takes off in this game. And I was like, okay, there is more to this than I thought there would be. This is going in some interesting directions. I think this is the right way. Yes, it is. Well then, before I get there, I should probably address the elephant in the room. Yes, they are anthropomorphized animals, and yes, it is a very distinctive kind of deviant art style. It is going to bother some people, and I will admit it did kind of bother me at first. Like, not to say that I hate that stuff, it's more just, you know, it makes you a little uneasy, you know, the associations with that kind of artwork, but I think after really getting to know the characters, it became very easy to dismiss. It's just like, okay, like, this is well written enough that I'm not going to mistake it for just someone's like weird, freaky, erotic fan fiction or something. And you know, everything is well drawn. It's not like it's bad artwork. It's just, you know, it does have those negative connotations that are very hard to avoid. But I think if you're one of those people who's just going to go, oh, I won't play it because it's that furry game, you're doing yourself a disservice. This is really worth picking up. I had to drag myself away from it just to film this video, and probably as soon as I finish filming, I'm going to jump straight back into my main save. So that should give you an example of how good I find this game. So, pretty close. And yeah, suddenly the game becomes about death and people dying for very horrible reasons.
Stay close to me and you'll be fine.
I still don't know what the talking sword's all about.
What is it, Ara?
I don't know why Dusk hasn't asked. He's just like, well, it's a talking sword. Yeah, I guess. You'll come on my adventure with me. Alright. Fair dues. I do hope they do address that at some point, but who knows. Oh, can't go that way. And here is the first boss, Mr. Fuse, who looks like a weird, deranged Mewtwo.
You've come.
I'm just gonna let the plot unfold.
You murdered all these innocent people.
You dare speak to me of innocence when you have so casually slain a countless number of my children.
Your children? You're talking about those monsters back
Oh no, what have you done?
Who are you?
So,
Is Dust the true monster?
rest assured, my friend, this time you will not so easily forget it.
I don't care what your name is. You're no different than those monsters I fought before. And like them, you will fall to my blade.
You are the only monster here, puppet. As I turn your bones to char, your final thought will be that Fuse was victorious.
On the whole, pretty well written dialogue, I think. Quite impressive. You know, not considering that general video game dialogue is dreadful. But I'm going to call it there. I think that's enough of Dust Elysian Tail. If you're into this kind of game, pick it up. If you're not into this kind of game, pick it up. If you're going to dismiss it because it's a furry game, pick it up anyway and prove yourself wrong. It's great, and I'm glad I had the chance to play it here for you guys. So, that's G, signing out. Hey guys, thanks for watching This Is Dust, an Elysian Tail. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please check out some of my other videos, and like, subscribe, share, and all that other lovely goodness. Also, if you are interested in Dust Elysian Tail, may I also recommend another classic Xbox Live Metroidvania, Shadow Complex. It uses a lot of the same concepts, but it's less of an action RPG and more of a traditional shooter. But of course, if you're looking for something a little more classic, then there is always the original Metroidvania itself, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, one of my all-time favourite games and still very playable to this day. And while it is a very rare and expensive PS1 and Saturn game, you can also get it very cheaply and easily for the PlayStation Network and Xbox Live, and I highly recommend you do so. Anyway, thanks again for watching, peace out.